Hey, what's good, Saints? Just want to take this opportunity to share this brief devotional with you guys. And I think it's really important just in light of everything that's going on in our country today. It reminds me of this movie called Coach Carter by Samuel L. Well, it's not by Samuel L. Jackson, but he's featured in it. And it depicts the movie of him being a coach in an inner city, coaching a high school basketball team. And it starts off pretty rough, but they actually become really good. So he's got the team, right? He's doing his thing as a coach. Even his own son is on the team as well. And they actually end up becoming undefeated, so they were doing really well. But what seems to be the thing that really throws them off course is the fact that Samuel L. Jackson wanted them to be held to a standard of keeping their grades up in order to participate on the team, but they fell way short of that. Okay, so Coach Carter, Samuel L. Jackson, decided to actually put a lock on the entire gym, preventing the team to be able to play in the games and practices for that matter. He told them all to go to the library in order for that they could complete their grades or get their grades up, get all the class assignments done before they get into the actual game. And I find that to be really interesting because in Matthew 23:23-24, it says, "Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites! For you tithe mint and dill and cumin, and you have neglected the weightier matters of the law, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. These you ought to have done without neglecting the others. You blind guides, straining out a gnat and swallowing a camel." Okay? So in the same way with Coach Carter's team, like they were doing great, with their team. They're doing a great job on the court, and they were even an undefeated team, but they neglected the more weightier issues of keeping their grades up in order for them to be able to participate in playing basketball and to think about their future. That was more important than what they did on the court. And the same thing applies today when it comes to social injustice, when it comes to systemic racism, police brutalities, white privilege, and what has happened to George Floyd and even other people. That it's good that we're going to church and we're paying tithes and offering and doing all these great things. But if we neglect the weightier matters of what God calls us to hold as a standard, we're missing it altogether. In fact, Jesus even calls us hypocrites if we focus on the little things but neglect the weightier matters in which he calls us to keep into consideration and to live according to his standards. So Jesus calls us to do three things. The first is justice. Okay, we need to be saying something when it comes to these police brutalities and social injustice and how blacks are more likely to be arrested and uneducated compared to our white brothers and sisters. Something needs to be said about these things. Micah chapter 6 verse 8 says that the commandments of the Lord are essentially to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with our God. So something needs to be said. We do need to be talking about these things publicly. But then on the other hand, there is mercy. So we can't just be all about justice. We also need to be about mercy. So incredibly important. And what we can't speak is in superlative, saying, well, all black people are like this, all white people are like that, all Hispanic people are like this, because you don't know everybody. But are you taking time to get to know what things are like right now from someone else's perspective, from someone who doesn't look like you, right? Are you taking the time to see what they think and what are you listening? Are you listening or are you just speaking only? We need to speak, yes, but we also need to listen. Are you willing to listen to somebody else and hear what they have to say? James 1:19-20, James 1:19-20 says, "Let every person, that's every person, be quick to hear, slow to speak, slow to get angry. Why? For the anger of man does not produce the righteousness of God." Last but not least, number three, faithfulness. We need to understand that whether you're like a Pharisee, you're neglecting the weightier issues, or you're a Gentile, you're more the one who's being oppressed by people not upholding these weightier issues, that does not give you an excuse to sin. This is not a time to sin. We don't have an opportunity to sin. Instead, we're supposed to use our time, our talents, our treasures to, in fact, glorify Jesus. 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, "So whether you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God." We need to be faithful during this time. And here's the truth, ladies and gentlemen. Justice will be served, whether it's on this earth or in the life to come, but definitely in the life to come. Because here's the truth. Either the eternal God, who is Jesus, pays for your sin, or you will pay for your sin eternally. Let me say that again. Either the eternal God, who is Jesus, pays for your sin, or you will pay for your sin eternally. 2 Corinthians 5:10 says, "For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ, so that each one may receive what is due for what he has done in the body, whether good or evil." Okay? So let us be people who are at the injustice. Let's talk about these things. Let's have these conversations. Let's protest peacefully. But let us also be willing to listen and to listen to someone who isn't like you or doesn't look like you. Let us also be people who are walking in faithfulness, walking in integrity, walking in purity for God's glory and our own joy and our sanctification. Okay? So I just want to encourage you guys through this video. My heart is heavy, and I'm sure yours is too. But let us be people of justice. Let us be people of mercy. Let us be people of faithfulness. And let us glorify Jesus with our lives. Take care. God bless.